What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Hops Geek News, episode 218, where we are going to be talking with the folks from Crafted Cores today and talking about Kyber Crystals as Star Wars month continues on. And if this is your first time watching the show, listening to the show, by all means, go ahead, like, subscribe, share, drop a review. That's how the podcast grows. Find us everywhere. Hops Geek News, anywhere that you can find podcasts, YouTube included. That's where we are. Same as social media, podcasts, all that kind of stuff. So with that said, if you want to support the show as well, patreon.com/HopsGeekNews, where we do a brand new episode that we're going to start doing specifically for Patreons called Sauce Ones, where we're going to watch a movie, maybe have some beers while watching a movie. Maybe it starts with Madam Web and determine how many beers it might take for us to think that movie is worthwhile in any sort of regards, if possible. So stay tuned for that. And then also we do our Cantina Hours live, not specifically every week, but lately it's been every week. And we most recently did one with Megan and Max from the Vigilante Vibes podcast, where we wrapped up X-Men 97 and talked about that fantastic episode. Now, we always start with what we messed up on, what we've been drinking, what we've been reading or watching, news, and then our main topic. So today's beer comes from Back Bay Brewing out of Virginia Beach, Virginia, to be exact. It's a 9.6 Imperial Orange Crush IPA. IPA with oranges comes at 9.6%. It's really good. It just had Imperial in the name. I didn't have any other real Star Wars themed beers, so I went ahead and went with this. Basically, it tastes like orange juice, just with alcohol in it, essentially. And so that's what I got drinking over here. Lauren, what are you drinking?
So I actually just opened a beer I've had on this podcast before, but I haven't had it in a couple years, and it's different. So it's Untapped. So this is from Tactical Brewing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has Admiral Akbar on it. It is an apple cobbler and vanilla ice cream sour. So in the past, this was like a smoother kind of one. And I haven't had it in the can. I'm about to take my first sip. I did have it at the brewery, and you can see how green this is. I will post this. It was darker green on tap. But I mean, like, it smells like sour green apple candy. And it kind of tastes like that on tap. Let's see.
Is it good?
Oh my gosh, it's sweeter now than it was on draft. It's good, but I don't love it. I liked it a lot more when it wasn't green. And it was funny when I was there, like, there was some other people there too. We were telling the beer tender, like, it didn't used to be green. She's like, it's always been green. And like, we all pull up Untapped and we're like, it's been green for a couple of years. So I guess I haven't had it in a while, but I liked it more when it wasn't green.
I was going to say, I've never had that one, but I didn't think it was green. Maybe I just misremembered myself, but I don't know.
I guess I just, a lot of these sours, I like the sours that aren't sour, which, makes no sense. But the name of this beer, and like, they have the painting up in their brewery, and they sell a lot of really cute merch. And I really wish they would sell merch with him on it. But so they decided to name it It's Untapped because Untapped is a trap. Anybody not familiar with it, you can rate your beers. But what happens with a lot of these breweries, a lot of people rate them for themselves. Like, I'm going to rate this a 1 because I don't like this beer, so I don't want to drink it again. And that's fair. I understand that. However, the breweries will get lower ratings on their beers, and it can impact people going in there.
Yeah, because people just looked at Untapped, who maybe they're like, oh, this might be a good place to have a brewery. Or, you know what I don't like? So I totally cut you off. I apologize.
No, you're fine.
I don't like when a brewery, you go to their website and you try to look at their beer menu and it takes you to an Untapped page.
Well, I get hating that because then it's like, oh, you have to pull it up. But what's nice, though, is when they actually update their Untapped, and you can pull up the beer menu. That's nice because then you can see, like, like, obviously Yacht Money is one of my favorites. So it's nice to be able to see when they have Yacht Money. But this specific style, so they have 2 Untapped quotes on here, and one is sour beers just don't make sense, and somebody gave it a beer cap and a half. And the other, this one's funny, is I only like ales and lagers, and they gave it 1 cap. And the reason that's funny is because all beers are ales or lagers, so sours are ales, and they've kind of made that quote their slogan. I literally have a fanny pack that just says I only like ales and lagers, and so they've turned this thing into like a little bit of like, their identity and making fun of these reviews. Very clever. I wish I liked the beer more because the can art is fantastic, but I just, sours are hit or miss for me. But that's I
like sours a lot.
This Admiral Akbar a few years at MegaCon. I made Ian and Tabby go to like every booth that had Star Wars toys solely so I could take a picture with the can. And now I have him.
Nice. Not to get too morbid or whatever real quick, I just do want to shout out Roosevelt's, the company, real quick. I am wearing their shirt, the Ultimate Prequel Trilogy shirt, but one of their co-founders did pass away, Steven, who is somebody I've met a couple times at different Comic-Cons. He was the driving force behind the brand. He suddenly passed away. Not sure why, not sure what, but he was a wicked nice guy. The brand is absolutely massive, and the things that he did for this brand, he was very engaged within the community, doing a lot of things for the community, free giveaways, testing products, actually listening to what the people had to say as far as feedback. So it's pretty tragic. I don't know how old he was, but he couldn't have been
He
hardly old.
seemed young. Yeah, because he was at MegaCon, I believe.
Yep. We ran into him at MegaCon. I met him actually out at Seattle last year at Emerald City Comic Con. I mean, really great dude. And again, like the brand is one that most of my closet is Roosevelt's. So just
Right.
I'm out real quick and a tragic, turn of events. But onto something a little bit better and more happier. Let's go into what we've been reading or watching. So of course, both of us watched X-Men 97 as season 1 has wrapped up. Now you can hear our thoughts on our Cantina Hour. That's on our YouTube page as well as on podcasting platforms. We talked with Megan and Max. That's pretty much just like a chill, unfiltered, whatever. There's no set structure for that. But aside from that, I watched the movie Abigail recently, which is, I don't want to spoil. I guess if you've seen the previews, you know it's a vampire movie. So I guess there's this little girl that gets kidnapped. Melissa Barea, I believe is her name. She's from the Scream franchise. She's in it. Dan Stevens is in it. The guy who currently plays one of the 8, I forget his name, but he's in a ton of movies. He is in it as well. Oh my gosh, Catherine Newton is in it, and big star-studded cast. She's great. She's really great in those weird. This is a very fun, took not what I expected movie. It's very
Mhm.
funny. It doesn't take itself too seriously. It knows what it is. Also, Giancarlo Esposito is in this movie, and
Ah.
yeah, it's about this little girl. She gets kidnapped. Well, it turns out she is a vampire and she loves ballet and she's a ballerina. And so I'm not going to go into any more detail. Just know that like this movie's fantastic. The cast is so good. It's very bloody, very gory. It's very tongue in cheek,
Mhm.
without being too over the top. And I gotta say, Catherine Newton is excellent in these kind of like, if you've seen her in Lisa Frankenstein and this movie, she's awesome in this kind of horror. And of course, Supernatural. Got a shout out for Lauren. She was in that.
I
But
mean, she's
she's
great in it too. You haven't her character's not done to the point where you're at.
right. Yeah. She was great in that, but like she's really taken off. She was an Ant-Man the Wasp of Cassie Lang, but Lisa Frankenstein, loved her. And she's very like weird. She plays these weird horror movies really well. So absolutely love her. And then Melissa is absolutely fantastic as like a final girl of horror movies. So very much recommend watching that. I have Monkey Man and Ghostbusters on the docket to hopefully watch soon. We will be
Mhm.
watching Madam Web soon. That's on Netflix now, unfortunately. But as far as what I've been reading for our nerdinitiative.com reviews, I've been reading first and foremost from Magma Comics, The Principles of Necromancy. If you love like this is horror. If you love body horror at that, very good. Very just weird. The artwork by Eamon Winkle is absolutely fascinating. The things that he's able to do and the play with the different dimensions he has on the pages. And Jacob is the doctor. He it kind of takes on an apprentice in this issue, or does he? I don't know. Guess you have to read it, but it's very much like his mask is creepy. Like when he takes the mask off, his eyes are just void of life and just so fascinating. I cannot get enough of this comic book. Magma Comics again, can't recommend. And then from Boom Studios, I read Uncanny Valley. Now that is by Tony Fleeks and Dave Wachter. That is another really great comic. Basically, Oliver is a kid. He's with his grandfather, whose grandfather's a cartoon. And the world building that they're doing in this, it's very much a big homage to cartoons that we grew up with, like Looney Tunes, for example. And they explain the rules in this universe. Like, why is grandpa a cartoon? Do people see him like that? How come I can see you? How does this work? And so they do really good world building while also moving the story forward. So again, Dave does incredible art. Tony's telling a great story with that. And then of course, man, I got to go Redcoat. Dude, Ghost Machine's Redcoat with Jeff Johns writing it, Brian Hitch also writing it. Brian Hitch doing a lot. Brad Anderson, Ivan Reese did a cover. The whole Ghost Machine crew right now is cranking out some really good comic books. But man, Redcoat is absolutely amazing. Simon Pure has teamed up with Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein is warning them of like this end of the world mega
And
event.
it's young Albert Einstein, which I think
13-year-old
makes it
Albert
a
Einstein.
little
Yes.
more interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, he's young. He's traveled all the way to America specifically for this event, and he's found Simon. And but Simon may not be the only immortal out there, so that's what makes it fun. It's a very fun comic book, but it's period pieces. It doesn't take itself seriously again, like it plays with history a bit, and there's a very cool surprise character that shows up in this. So all of our reviews are on nerdinitiative.com. Go check those out. Lauren, what is it that you've been reading or watching?
Other than Redcoat, the 2 reviews I did this week are both issues I've talked about before. One of them is Wolverine Madripoor Nights. This is Chris Claremont. It is an extension or kind of a spin-off of the X-Men series in the 90s, following 286. But what's very interesting is that issue you've probably seen. It's the one where you have Cap, Wolvie, and Black Widow standing like on top of a building overlooking
Oh
Madripoor,
yeah.
and Black Widow's looking real good from behind. So that I don't want to spoil it, but like at the very last scene in this issue, that is somewhat recreated in a very different way. So this run has been about the three of them, and I love the three of them together. And in that story, you know, they all met like during World War II. They have it's all very platonic, and Black Widow's almost like a little sister that the two of them rescued. And just the three of them are so different in their fight styles and their personalities and their morals, but they all have just like equal respect for each other, and they work so well together and play off each other so well that I'm absolutely loving that. And then the other one that I've talked about before is Weapon X-Men. So this was the 4th issue and the final issue. So this is by Christos. I'm going to butcher the name.
It's okay.
We're
We're terrible with
Christos
names here. I'm
Gage.
sorry. If I don't hear
Yes.
it pronounced to me first, like it's sometimes I use Google to be like, how do you say this name? But then it's wrong.
Even still, it could be wrong. Yeah. So it's Christos Gage is the writer, and then Yildiray Sinar is the artist. And this is the 4-issue run with 5 different Wolverines because they've been brought together because of Jean Grey, and you have Onslaught. So I know I've talked about this many times. This one kicked off with the origin of Old Man Logan, and it is the actual Old Man Logan Frank Miller version. And it's a great story. And, you know, it has a twist. And there was part of me that I was like, this isn't Wolverine. And then I was like, this is Wolverine. So I'm hoping that we get more from them. They even said in the back, if you want to see more of these characters, let Marvel know. So let Marvel know. And then the only thing else I've really been watching is my husband has been rewatching The Boys. So I have been.
Oh, that's a good idea because it's been so long in between.
I rewatched all of it last year, I think.
That's fair.
But yeah, and we're going to do a The Boys episode. So I'm going to have my recap already.
Might be doing some Boys after episodes too, potentially.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. In Cantina Hour.
Yeah, like I like doing our after episodes on the Cantina Hour for some reason. I feel like that's fun. It's laid back, and I don't know.
Yeah, I agree.
Like it.
And you
but
get
yeah,
the
man,
interaction with people.
You do. I do love interacting, get to hear people's thoughts, and it's also because we watch it and then it's fresh in our mind. Just pretty much like this morning is when I watched X-Men, so it's generally pretty fresh. Whereas sometimes we don't get to record right away, or maybe there's a delay in recording. So yeah, I got to go back and watch The Boys because I don't typically watch them after the season airs. Like that's it. But it's been so long. I feel like it's been a year in between.
A good show.
So
no, it's been 2.
It really is. It's been 2 years. Oh, you're right. No, you're right. Yeah. God bless. See, that's how long it's been for me. So I got to go back and watch it.
Yeah, it's so good though. Josh just I woke up in the middle of the night. He had left the TV on, and right when I woke up, it was about to be the Jensen nude scene, and I was it was like 3 o'clock in the morning.
And the TV wake up. Oh, my alarm was set.
Sound asleep snoring. He just fell asleep with the TV on and left it on, and that's what I woke up to. But I turned it on. I went back to bed.
I'm sure you did right after that scene was over.
Some pleasant dreams.
But what's some news? Let's roll into some news. What kind of some news do you got? Because I see you got some Boys news to roll out.
Yes, so The Boys season 5 has been confirmed. I think we all knew that was happening, but it is now official. Eric Kripke said they are already working on it. And we got some Marvel news. So we got Daredevil March 2025. Ironheart will be sometime in 2025, and Agatha all along. Huh?
They give us specific dates for like Agatha and Daredevil and all the details in a trailer, and then they're like Ironheart, sometime between now and 2026.
Yeah, as long as they don't start or keep like giving us dates and then extending them. I'd rather get no dates or get subtle dates without getting completely changed dates.
I guess that's my next question, right? Is they recently announced that they're going to be doing 2 TV shows, maybe 3 movies a year for Marvel. So we already know next year we have Fantastic Four as 1 movie, right? And then the 2 TV shows, I guess, are Ironheart and Daredevil. That's kind of locked into place. I wonder what the other 2 movies are going to be from Marvel, because I haven't heard anything else, because Daredevil's going to be March.
What was it? When's Captain America coming out? Is that 2026?
I think so. That got pushed. That and Thunderbolts that got pushed.
Oh yeah, Thunderbolt. Yeah. So yeah, we did just mention Agatha. That is September 18, 2024. And if you've been following along to all the name changes, they were messing with us. The last one, I feel
that
like
Ultimate Troll was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, the Lion Witch and the Wardrobe. I was like, wait a minute. I've read that book.
That TikTok video that they posted, Marvel, or I guess it's just a regular video, got over 12 million views already of them just being basically saying it's their version of a Rickroll, but for Agatha. I love it because they posted that and everyone was like, what the hell? Why are we doing these name changes again? And then they posted a video where it's Agatha all along, and it was amazing. Awesome.
That is amazing because people get so upset about these little things like, oh my God, I cannot believe they changed this. I remember us even talking about it, like, how many times are they going to change this? Like, that's awesome. Good for them. So Yellow Jacket season 3 has begun filming. Season 2 ended, like, it went way out there. So I feel like the show is completely different than what it started as. So it'll be interesting to see how they go or move forward for season 3. Josh checked out last season, and I could tell right away. I was like, oh, he's out. He's not going to like this. Batman Cape Crusader is coming to Prime Video August 1st. And that's my news.
Yeah, it's supposed to be interesting, different. I don't really know much about the Caped Crusader, but how many Batman, whatever. I'm not getting into it.
Sound like a
Now
Batman voice right
I
there.
haven't personally watched Yellow Jackets. I only watched, 2 episodes, never really got into it, but I know a lot of people are excited for that. And I know that there's a couple shows that got announced. So The Bear season 4 or 3, I should say, season 3, sorry, is premiering June 27th on Hulu. Can't wait for that one. Only Murders in the Building, Dr. Trailer, they will be releasing in August. That's season 4. Absolutely adore that show as well. Now, aside from that, we also got some Nicolas Cage will be starring as a live action Spider-Man noir series, which will be premiering on Amazon Prime, taking place in the 1930s New York. I'm very intrigued by that. I will watch anything with Nicolas Cage. You guys know that. Absolutely, absolutely will watch anything with Nicolas Cage. So excited to see how they do it, especially live action. And I wonder if it ties into like the bigger Sony universe or how that plays into it. So I guess we'll see. But aside from that, there is a new trailer for a Dune prequel series called Dune Prophecy. It will be releasing later this year on HBO Max or Max, whatever you want to call it. Who knows if that's what it's going to be named, because they're teaming with Disney Plus and making a bundle. And speaking of making a bundle, it appears apparently Netflix, Apple TV, and Peacock will also be forming their own stream team through Comcast. So it seems like everybody tried their individual things and now they're all coming together slowly. And it's going to be like a Gangs of New York style to see who comes out on top of the streaming wars soon. Your face. What is your face?
All right, this beer.
Oh, no.
It's like high C.
Ew.
It's like
that's too sugary.
Yeah, I don't know. It does, and it even looks like a high C ectoplasm beer, not beer, juice. What are they called? Ecto? Maybe you're too young.
No, the Ecto Coolers.
Ecto Cooler.
I'm not too young. They've come out with them. Yeah, come on now, give me some credit here. I know a lot.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to get through this beer, but I'm gonna wait a little bit to open another one.
That's fair. Now, Galactus has been cast in Fantastic Four. Ralph Ineson, as well as another big casting announcement for Fantastic Four. I forgot her name.
Oh, it's the girl from American Pie.
Yes.
Whose name I don't know either, but I'll pull it up. She's a funny one. I love her. And
it's Natasha Lyonne has been cast in Fantastic Four. Yes, Natasha Lyonne. Oh, even Jesus made mistakes once in a while, but she's been also in there. Pretty excited for that because she's a pretty great actress. If you've watched some of the things that she's been in, Poker Face, for example, that's a good one. Orange is the New Black. And then wrapping up some news that I got from The Ashes, we got Storm coming out October 2024, Avenger 17 October 2024, and our friend Jason Lowe is going to be doing a 4-issue series Dazzler coming out in September 2024. Now, you know what I'm going to ask, right?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. This means Taylor Swift's going to be in Deadpool, right? As Dazzler.
I'm fine with that.
That means if Taylor Swift
for a while,
if she's going to be playing Dazzler in Deadpool, you realize that this movie's going to break Endgame records.
I mean, this movie is already going to do it amazingly well. I wouldn't be surprised if this movie breaks Endgame records with it just being Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah. I mean, there's been long rumored that she's going to be in, but this basically the fact that they're going to do a little mini run on Dazzler. Come on, damn well that means Taylor Swift is playing Dazzler.
Well, because also it says her world tour begins. Like, I don't know much about
Dazzler. Speaking of which,
does she have an Eras tour?
She might, but did you see that? I'm actually kind of pissed off because Europe actually has it kind of down to a science, because Taylor Swift tickets in Europe right now are like $90 if you go on like StubHub, because they got
Erica said they were like 800 because she was looking at them in
if you go look on StubHub right now in like Sweden, people are flying to Europe because it's cheaper to fly to Europe and buy her tickets on StubHub and actually stay there.
Tracy's seeing them in Europe.
Tracy's dead to me. I'm gonna ask her to get me an Eras Tour shirt.
She's seeing them after she goes, so she's going back to Europe after. She's seeing
after
them
the cruise.
August.
Okay, yeah. Well, Tracy, I'm gonna need you to get me an Eras Tour shirt. I have to. I will pay you all the money. Okay, I will pay you all the money. Now, that's kind of all I have for news. Let's go ahead and wrap up and go into our main topic, where we're going to be joined by the fine folks at Crafted Cores, talking about Kyber Crystals. If you know them, they make the fantastic Kyber Crystals that go into your Savvy's lightsaber. So come to hang out, stick around, find out what more they got. We'll catch you in a minute. What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Like I said, we got the homies from Crafted Cores here to talk Kyber Crystals, talk about their wonderful, amazing Kyber Crystal business. They are in the business of making your lightsabers do the magic, just like the movies. So before we go ahead and dive into Kyber Crystals, why don't you go ahead, introduce yourself to the masses and tell us a little bit about Crafted Cores and what it is that you guys do.
Yeah, so Thank you for having me on, guys. If everyone doesn't know, I think we met at MegaCon 2 years
Yes.
ago,
Oh
and
yeah.
then again last year or this year. It's been a while here. But yeah, it's great seeing you guys again. So my name's Chandler. I am the owner of Crafted Cores. It's kind of been my baby for the last 4 years. My brother and his family had gone to Galaxy's Edge like right when it opened up, and they had built a Savi's lightsabers. And they came back and they're like, "Hey, check out these lightsabers." And I've always been like a huge nerd. I love Star Wars, always have. And so when he showed that off, I'm like, well, I think like the Kyber crystals are cool, but how can we make those better? And so I spent like $300. We were poor, like I'm in college. My wife's like, "Don't be spending money. Like it's not gonna work. No one's gonna buy these. Like it's just a bunch of little plastic things." And I was like, you know what? I'm just going for it. And pretty much overnight, we had Crafted Cores and a lot of support from fans and Star Wars people, and it's been great. That's kind of how it started. So
That's amazing.
yeah.
And for anybody who has not built a Savi's lightsaber, that is the custom built lightsabers at Disneyland and Disney World. Matt and I have both done it. We've done a video on it. And you pick your crystal, and then you can change out your crystal, which you can buy at Doc Onder's. But you guys' crystals are a little bit extra special because not only can you
Yes.
change the color, they're gorgeous. So can you tell us about some of the different kind of figurines that you can get these Kyber crystals carved out to be?
Yeah, totally. So just like you were saying, if you go to Savi's and build a lightsaber, you get one color with your crystal, and that's it. And you have to swap all of them out.
Dude, it's the
And like
hardest
you said,
decision of
ours
your
are.
life, first of all. Like
It is. It is the hardest
I even
decision.
picked red because I was like, I don't know. I had like my thought, I've been doing it all up, and then I went in there and I was like, red. And I love red, but at the
Yep.
same time, I panicked.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I've been, I think 5 times, and almost every time I pick purple because I panic, and that's the one that's there. So, so I have like 5 purple ones, and but so yeah, like you're saying, we do different designs and shapes. I design those all myself here. I 3D print them. I don't know if you can see this machine there.
Yeah.
We 3D print them there and make molds and actually cast them. And so, like I don't even know if you guys can see this.
Oh, I can. Yeah. That's
This
beautiful.
one is an Ahsoka Tano.
Oh, yeah.
And we just did one for May 4th, which was the
That's adorable.
Porg.
It looks like and that's like
carving,
don't they sell that at Galaxy's Edge? That's one of the cups, isn't it?
So it's kind of like the cup, but it's mostly that stump they have out there that's carved.
Okay, that's
It looks like
okay.
it's carved
That's
with a
in
chainsaw.
the Spire outpost. Ah,
Yep.
that's so cool. I'm like, I know that looks familiar.
Yeah. So we kind of started off doing just a double-sided, and then I was like, we have to make this a little more exciting, a little more fun. That's kind of when we started getting into the shapes, and I think my very first one was the Carbonite with Han Solo in it. And it just took off from there.
So
That's
you
awesome.
said that one's like the Ahsoka and they come in different shapes. Do you kind of like try to craft them exactly just like in the Star Wars universe, like their crystals and things like that? Do you do a bunch of research into the shapes and forms of the crystals before you kind of 3D print them?
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you a little bit of the process. So we do a lot of research, and then we also try and pick who's popular at the time, and what shows are coming out, of course.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Just because we got to sell them as well. But really, I'll get an idea in my head, and I'll reach out to a couple people. I'm like, "Hey, does this even sound cool? Is this gonna flop?" And then I'll come up with a concept, and I think I'll make like 12 to 15 iterations of the design, print it off, paint it, print it off, paint it, until I finally get something. So I mean, like my Darth Vader crystal I did. I don't know if you've seen that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took me like I had it working on it for like 6 months before I actually released it. So they take a lot of time. I'm super picky. Like I won't release something if I don't like it. It's really important to be in universe, feel special, feel handcrafted, everything. So I don't know if that answers your question.
No, that's perfect. Yeah, that makes a
that's
lot of
kind of the process.
Makes a lot of sense. Now, was there anything special that you had to do to make them be able to work in the Savi's lightsaber, for example? How was that process kind of figuring out, okay, this is how it works? Or was it just like, oh, wait, it's just a kind of a clear crystal at this point. It'll shine through.
Yeah. So each of the crystals actually have RFID chips inside of them. And you have to program them with a specific code, or it will not work with a lightsaber or holocron. So when I first started, it took me like a month or two to figure out the coding because no one had done it before. We were the very first people to do custom crystals out there. And so we had a little scanner and we just sat there and like after work every day, after school, I just scan, try and figure it out. And eventually we got it. So yeah, it's easy now, but
yeah, I imagine the
I didn't
process
really love it.
initially,
First
like
time's always the hardest.
yeah. But it's
Yep.
such a clever
Yep.
idea. I'm surprised nobody had done it because you're right. You're paying, you know, you're going to get your lightsaber, you can only pick one color, and like that's a big monumental moment for a lot of people. You're like, we talked right here. We panic when you go in.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
not
I
cheap.
panicked with my my hilt as well. It was like
Me too. I was like, I
okay.
don't know, and then it's just power. So
Yeah. I mean, it's still an amazing experience, but anybody who is going into it, I recommend pulling it up beforehand, seeing what hilts they have and what colors they have so that you feel confident going in there, because it's not a I mean, unless you're super duper rich, it's not something you just, you know, yeah, sure, whatever. So do you guys have any colors that you can't get at Disney, or you just
No. Well, yes and no. So since all the programming is on the lightsaber and holocrons, we just have a little code. You're kind of limited to what they already have.
Gotcha.
So, but there is a teal and amber color that you can't
Ooh.
get from any of the kyber crystals. And it will light up your hilt. Like there's a little light on the inside of your hilt. And in here, that'll light teal or orange, but your blade will still be blue or yellow. So it's kind of a weird combo there. But I don't know if you guys heard, but they did release a bunch of new Kybers and holocrons at Disney. So that's a whole new line of color, like crystals and voices and things we can do now.
yeah, I'm pretty much waiting for
Nice.
the acolyte to
Yeah.
drop so that way we can get orange lightsabers, because orange is
Yeah.
always ever since I was a kid, I've wanted an orange lightsaber. I'm like Mace Windu demanding the purple lightsaber. I'm like, no, I want to be different. I want an orange one. So I'm pretty much waiting for the acolyte to take off so that way, boom, I can finally get my orange one and get that crystal. But
Well, I knew I wanted green. I'm happy with green.
see, you're Lauren, very decisive. Chandler and I were like, we know,
Not
but
with the hilt.
because you're so
But
caught up in the moment.
I shouldn't say if, when I do it again, I think I'd go purple.
Ooh, I think always been thinking purple would be the one that I'd go to. I like just the colors that aren't. I chose red, so what I'm about to say is going to be like, come on, man. I like the colors that aren't popular, I guess. You know, like I don't want the blue and the green and the red. I like because the one thing, George Lucas growing up, George Lucas was always like, if you're a Jedi, it has to be green or blue, and if you're Sith, it's red. But to me, I'm like, well, why?
Samuel L. Jackson.
Exactly. To me, I'm like, well, why can't lightsabers be different colors? And then enter the conversation onto Kyber crystals. So before we get to Kyber crystals as a discussion, man, you have very good taste. We're wearing the same Roosevelt shirt right now. Clearly, you're a man of culture. So I got to know, like, what is your all-time favorite Star Wars movie? And then, like, what was your introduction into the Star Wars universe?
Oh, that's hard. And we're excluding like all the animated series.
You can pick whatever you want.
Can pick whatever. That's the beauty of Star Wars. There's so many things.
Okay.
Yes, there's so many things.
So I mean, last season of Clone Wars is beautiful. Like I cried.
How could you not?
Yeah, I mean, so I had only seen the mainstream movies up until I started Crafted Cores, honestly. And I was like, Clone Wars is just like a kid's show. Like I didn't understand it. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm doing
season
Star
where
Wars
you're bawling
business.
your eyes out and your wife's like, what is going on in there?
Yeah. She doesn't get it now. I'm trying to get her to watch them now. She won't. Yeah,
my husband's never seen
my wife's same thing.
movie.
She's like, I like Star Wars, but I can't follow you down that path.
Well, see, like at least Carrie though watches it and enjoys Galaxy's Edge. My husband has not seen a single movie. He enjoyed Galaxy's Edge not at all, but he supports my habits, so I can't complain.
There you go.
But yeah. Okay. So yeah, season 7.
But yeah, so I just hadn't watched any of those, and when I started this business, I was like, I have to go through these movies. I have to understand, and so I was just like, I watched Clone Wars, watched all of them, and I like couldn't stop. I'm like sanding crystals, painting crystals, and I'm just like binge watching this and falling in love with it. And I think that's kind of when I liked Star Wars, but I think I fell in love with Star Wars because of that and Crafted Cores combined. So yeah, that's kind of my favorite is probably Clone Wars. Rebels is also very good.
Oh yeah, it's you're right. Like season 7 of Clone Wars, man. Like I always tell people, like, my computer background is the shot of the helmets on the post and at the final episode,
Yep.
Vader's walking
Yep.
down. It's so tragic because it really does add so much depth to Anakin Skywalker as Darth Vader and his whole character, because it has this whole arc.
Yep.
And just to see the glimpse of his eye and the hint, you can just feel the remorse a little bit when you see Ahsoka's. Dude, I always get choked up just thinking about it. It's so damn good.
Mhm.
Yep.
Well, and my complaint originally with Star Wars was the lack of character development with Anakin. I didn't understand it. It didn't make sense to me. And Clone Wars fixed that. So
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, it really did. It explained why he was so upset with the Jedi, and it explained why, you know, he is the way he is. And there's so much in there. And then the clones, it gave them all individualities, like personalities. And then tying it back to the entire Kyber crystal chat that we're talking tonight, is that you even get episodes where like the Padawans are going to pick their Kyber crystals out. Like those are some of the best episodes too, because people don't realize that Kyber crystals are force sensitive.
Right. And that the red ones scream and whatnot. Before we go, because we do have, like I mentioned, a little Kyber crystal school. You guys don't just make Kyber crystals though. So if somebody stumbles upon your website, what else are they going to be able to find and purchase that's Star Wars related?
Yeah, so I mean, we have some t-shirts that we've designed up. We have like mounts for lightsabers, for shields from Star Cruiser. I mean, we do ornaments for Christmas every year. Some fun new stuff there. And pretty soon here, we're going to be doing like rechargeable batteries for the Savis lightsabers. Maybe
I'm going to need that.
Yeah, I was about to say, like,
so
mine dies so fast for no reason.
Yep. So we're pretty close on a lot of that stuff. It's just, it'll come out eventually. I can't tell you when, but pretty much everything, our goal is to have, like, you can customize everything Savis from our shop. Like the pieces, the pommels, like maybe new heads for that, see-through ports for that, crystals, battery packs. We just kind of want to be the one-stop shop for Savis and Galaxy's Edge stuff.
See, I like that. Oh, go.
I was just going to say, yeah, stay on top of it. Just follow them, Crafted Cores. Go ahead, Matt. What you were going to say?
No, I was just going to say, I love the fact that you're going to be able to like customize it, because yeah, this is cool, but I'm also very ADHD, so I like change. So being able to like, oh, I like this hilt with this one, or you like get to play around. And I guess my big question is, obviously, this goes hand in hand with Savis. Did Disney at all come knocking and being like, hey, what's up, man? At any point, like, do you have a partnership with them? Like, how does that work?
I wish, man. If I had a partnership with Disney, I think we'd be killing it.
Yeah.
Have you looked into the Arts Festival at all? Epcot Arts Festival? I know nothing behind the scenes. I just know that a guy who sells his art at like my local comic book shop has a booth at Epcot Arts Festival a couple days out of that festival. And what you're doing is art.
Yeah,
so sorry, honestly. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Thank you. I mean, so we went to Star Wars Celebration. We tried to get a booth there. It wasn't happening. We're not licensed or anything like that. And so I think with most of Disney stuff, you're going to have to be officially licensed with them. So we've reached out, heard nothing. The biggest thing is I think they are just trying to push us out of the market. So we'll see. The new Kyber crystals now have cards with stories on them, and they now have a little more sparkle in them like ours do. And so it's just kind of interesting. They tried to change up the coding for the Wayfinders so our crystals wouldn't work, but we had already figured that out, and so they did. So it's just kind of
so damn smart, dude. Oh man, I love this so much.
So
they're like,
yeah,
why would they put, I guess it makes sense because they want to like take over the market, but to me it's like, you see somebody doing some really cool things, partner up, man. Like but again,
right.
I'm just a nobody, so what do I know? But
well, and that's what's been so amazing, you know, Matt, because the Arts Festival is going on during MegaCon. So Matt and I went, and I gone to the Arts Festival every year since it started in 2017. And I love that I see local artists and big artists that are doing Disney art, and Disney's not giving them shit. They're literally like, hey, here's a booth. And then they have days where the artist can be there and sign things live. I don't know what the contracts are behind the scenes, but like when I saw, if anybody's familiar with Danny Haas, Haas, I have loved his artwork. He does a lot of the artwork where it's like, you know, see half Logan, half Wolverine kind of thing, or they'll do half Padme, half, you know, Queen Amidala. And he's always at my local comic book shop. They seem to have a regular relationship with him. And then I see him posted up at Epcot. So I was like, oh wow, that's actually really cool. Disney's supporting these smaller artists. But to pivot, my one complaint about my lightsaber, other than the battery dying immediately and them making me feel pressure to choose too fast.
I don't even turn my lightsaber on and the battery's dead. I'm like, what are we doing here?
I have it displayed in my bar area and it's so pretty when I turn it on, but it never stops making the zoom, zoom. Yeah. So is there any way, like, is that a completely different thing from the Kyber crystal? Like, is there a way to have it where I can just have the light on so it just looks pretty and I don't have to constantly hear
because I would love to set mine up too, just like you, Lauren. I've always wondered that as well.
Yeah, like how you have your hop lights. Like that would be cool to just have it, glowing in the background.
Yeah, so I've thought about that before. We designed a little insert that can go into the bottom. And I'm thinking if you could just have that tethered, it takes out the speaker, and so you could light it up but have none of the sounds. So yeah, if that's something you guys want, I'll work on it and maybe we can hook you up or something. So.
I mean, you see there's a market for two of us right here, because I've always been Lauren, like I want to display it, right? Like especially while you're doing video or whatever, like if you just had it in the background and you're able to light it up, I think that'd be kind of badass. So I think, because that's my biggest complaint is if I turn it on, it just makes noise, and so you just have this noise behind your ear, and
which is fun when you're playing with it.
Yeah, no, it's awesome when I'm playing with it, but I want this baby to like, I want to display, like, look at my pride and joy.
Yeah, that's sick. So I'll get something together for you guys, and give me your address after, and we'll set you up.
Oh, dude,
I love it.
That was super nice. Thank you. Now, Lauren, pivoting, I know you have some talk about Kyber crystals in general, so why don't you take us down this path, if you will, into the caves?
Into the caves of Ilum. I don't remember how to say it. All right, so let me go scroll back up to my notes. Okay, so for those at home who are not driving and are not intending on driving anywhere, you can play a little drinking game with us. Anytime we say Kyber crystal, take a sip, and you will be drunk by the end of this, so fair warning. Kyber crystals are the heart of a lightsaber. They are what power it for both Jedi and Sith. I think we all know that. The crystals grow throughout the galaxy, but they're still very rare, and they are attuned to the Force, which is how they can concentrate energy. So the crystals have a collective consciousness and can actually communicate with each other, which I find, when I read that, I was like, this is actually kind of hilarious, because I imagine they're like having a conversation while, Jedi and Sith are fighting or something. They're made up of organic and inorganic material, and they can be tiny or large. So when the younglings are ready to get their lightsabers, like what we were just talking about, which you see this in Clone Wars. If you haven't watched this episode, I highly recommend it. And they go to the crystal cave on the ice planet Ilum. There they have to find the crystal that calls to them. So it's kind of like Moana standing by the ocean.
Do love that.
So that's Season 5 of Clone Wars, The Gathering, and you see Ahsoka and Yoda are in that episode, and they take a group of younglings there to find their Kyber crystals.
I love that we have the little Wookiee Padawan. Like and
then we saw him in Bad Batch.
Bad Batch, but then the Acolyte also has like a Wookiee Padawan. Like I'm all here for like the Wookiee Jedi takeover.
I mean, a Wookiee Jedi.
It's not the same one, right?
No, it's not the same one in Acolyte, but I mean, I guess they can grow. No, it's it would be a kid. Yeah, no, it wouldn't make sense. But the fact that there are like Wookiee Jedi, I feel like that's something Star Wars has never really leaned into. Like you have Chewbacca, you have, other bounty hunter Wookiees, but you very rarely see Jedi Wookiees, and I feel like that's the one species I want to see them as a Jedi.
Well, because they're badass on their own.
So exactly. Like imagine a Wookiee with the Force. Like, dude, you're screwed.
The one that was in Clone Wars that we then saw in Bad Batch, like, didn't he go back to Kashyyyk? Like, that would be a cool thing to see later on.
What about the droid attack on Kashyyyk?
Okay. So yes, like I mentioned, Season 5. So this was the episode actually where we first met Gungi. Look at that. The kid Wookiee and Jedi. So fun fact, this episode was aired at Star Wars Celebration in 2012, and only adults who had brought kids were allowed in. So there are sometimes advantages to having kids. I brought my middle daughter to MegaCon once and last year, and she drove me nuts, and she wasn't allowed this year.
I took my son to Emerald City Comic Con last year, and like 20 minutes in, he was like, I'm tired of walking. I was like, dude, come on.
Meanwhile, my oldest, though, we started going when she was 12, and she worked it this year.
That's right. Yeah. Her boyfriend got to work it for Tom Hiddleston.
But he didn't get to meet him, but he got to.
This is crazy.
Yeah. All right, so in the book Star Wars Secrets of the Jedi, which is canon, Luke Skywalker says, quote, each Kyber crystal starts out clear, but once it is awakened by the Force, its color shifts to match the nature of its master. The color of the crystal determines the color of the lightsaber's blade. Some of the most common colors for Jedi lightsabers include blue, green, and violet. Red lightsabers are typically attuned to those who have succumbed to the dark side of the Force. I think we all know that.
They're synthetic crystals. They're not real.
So Kyber crystals they lean light side. When they go dark side or red, it's called bleeding, and they're actually screaming. And we saw that too in the animated stuff. This is why people need to read the animated or watch the animated stuff.
Yes, read the animated stuff. You're right, Lauren. Great job.
Those are called comics. Yes, read the animated stuff.
That's true.
Okay, so however, they can heal. Ahsoka actually purified 2 crystals she got from the Six Brothers lightsaber following his defeat, and that is why she has the 2 white lightsabers. That's so fun.
Yes.
Kylo Ren's lightsaber is shaped the way it is because it had a cracked Kyber crystal, which generated an unstable blade. The excess power was vented out of the sides, thus creating a crossguard-like design, not just for marketing. George Lucas did come up with Kyber crystals. It was mentioned early in the drafts for A New Hope, but Filoni was the first one to actually put it on screen in the Clone Wars. However, they were mentioned in the comics and the books beforehand. My last fun fact is that Galen Erso from Rogue One did research on Kyber crystals.
Well, yeah, the
That's
Death Star. I mean, a lot of the power from like the Death Star and stuff. That's why they were harvesting Kyber crystals, was to produce that power for the Star Destroyers and everything like that. Because the Empire always is just crappy. But
Speaking of
Chandler,
movies, that's probably my favorite actual
Rogue One
movie of Star Wars. Yep.
oh,
That's a
we
fantastic
got to talk about
one,
Rogue One
yeah.
for a second,
Yeah.
man, because what a film, dude.
What a film.
God, what like
That ending scene especially does it for me with Darth Vader on the ship. I'm like getting chills.
is that not like the
like-
greatest minute and 30 seconds from Star Wars ever?
You
Yeah, that's
absolutely
great.
then have to start A New Hope, even if you're only going to watch the first 5 minutes. Like you have to like just have that one long scene that ties it together.
yeah. Yeah.
I'm dying for a Darth Vader series now that Hayden is back in the Star Wars universe of him just hunting Jedi down. Like I want him hunting rebels and Jedi down. I don't care what it
Just
takes.
destroying them every
Exactly.
episode.
Just like give me just him. It's 10 episodes, 8 episodes. I'll give me 6. And it's just him killing Jedi and rebels. I'm sold.
I'm down for it.
Just and then the cinematography too of the quietness behind it all. You hear like the workers on the Death Star when they power up the beam, and there's just like the stillness to the air when it like launch it. Oh my God, it is so good. I could rave about Rogue One forever because you're right. I if we're talking like individual standalone films, Rogue One is probably like the best there is. And it's just a spy movie. My personal favorite movie is of Star Wars. If we're talking trilogies, it's going to be Revenge of the Sith.
I don't know
You
if I
can't
could
go.
pick
You
a
can't go wrong with
favorite.
that, dude.
It's well, I mean, you got the Anakin, the Obi-Wan. Like I've talked about this so many times. So emotional. It's the crescendo, if you will, the Order 66. And leading into it, I do actually have a couple questions for you, Chandler. So I know you've picked purple as your lightsaber choice every time, but if you had the choice to get your crystal, what color do you actually think you would have in the Star Wars universe?
I think I would be blue. I don't know why. I think I'd be blue though.
You're not supposed to know why. You're supposed to feel it.
Yeah, that's
It just calls to you.
Blue would call to me, but I mean, I would hope I was cool enough to have purple, but I think I'd have blue.
Samuel Jackson
So-
shows up without his hand somewhere and he's like, there's only one. And you're like, oh, my bad, man.
Be
My
like,
bad.
that's mine, motherfucker.
Yeah, you're like, oh, my bad.
Get it back.
Do you have like a favorite Star Wars character of all time? Because we did our episode recently on like our favorite Star Wars characters. Mine was Darth Vader. Lauren's is
Mine was-
Bo-Katan.
Yeah.
We have our least favorites and all that kind of stuff. But do you have like a personal favorite one that you just that's it right there?
So I always thought Maul was cool in the live actions,
Yeah.
but I didn't feel like he got enough. And
Yeah.
so when I saw Clone Wars and everything after that, I really love Maul now. There is so much more to his story that you don't even know if you don't watch it.
Right. We only got
Right.
half of his story in Phantom Menace.
Oh, I
Yeah.
see what you did there.
I mean,
Well, and it was such a poetic ending too with Obi-Wan.
yes.
it
and
it
just-
really
yeah.
was.
Well, and then it's all connected with Mandalore. Like, I wish they would go into that a little more so in the Mandalorian and like emphasize and tell more of that story. I think we will get more of that backstory, but
Yeah.
You think we'll get a live action Maul again?
I don't know that we'll get a live action Maul again, but I think when they do the Mando movie or even the next season of The Mandalorian, because there's been a lot of talk of the next season might not actually be about Din Djarin, and like I'm okay with that if it's more about Bo or some of the
like
other
anthology
Mandalorians.
series, I'd be cool with that.
Yeah. And so I could see more of the history of Mandalore coming up, and you really can't talk about the fall of Mandalore without talking about Darth Maul. But I mean, I'd be down for another live action Maul. I mean, but with Star Wars, that's the whole thing is like, you never know if they're going to go into the past, well, I don't even know what, I guess to me, the present, I think like Mandalorian is the present, or whatever I'm watching at the time is the present.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, time makes no sense there. so they can put
Mhm.
something out anywhere they want. So yeah, who knows? It would be kind of cool to get like an older
Well, that's the
Darth
beauty of
Maul.
Star Wars. There's so many things that you can fill in. Like I've wanted a gritty kind of war film, maybe even like a Top Gun
Captain Rex.
style war
Oh
film.
wow, yeah.
But is there something that you've always kind of had in the back of your mind that was like, dude, I would love to see this happen in a Star Wars universe?
Oh,
a
that's hard.
hard
I don't know if I have
question.
anything on top of my head. But why don't you guys go and I'll
I
think
have an
about
all
it.
right. I have an endless list. Why you think like, dude,
Like our
I would-
listeners have heard us. Yeah.
they've heard us, but I'll reiterate like Omega Squadron. I think would be cool because we left Omega in the Bad Batch. She left to go
Mm.
join the rebellion. She's a
Mhm.
pilot. I think that'd be cool. Patty Jenkins has been on again, off again with Disney with her Rogue Squadron movie. I feel like giving us a pilot-based film about rebel pilots during the war and the fight with the Empire. Like there's based off of the space battle we got in Rogue One. There's so much cool stuff that they could do within that realm right there.
Yeah.
And then even you can go like base level if you want to talk about like leave the Jedi out of it. Show us some of the other characters from Star Wars like Harrison Dula in that kind of movie or whatever it may be. And then you can even show like Rex or some of these clones like a Clone Rebellion or like a live action. Hey, we're in the trenches. This is like a World War II style war movie where we have the rebellion. It can even be Clone Wars if you want to go back to the Clone
I was gonna
Wars.
say Clone Wars would be cool.
Yeah,
Live
more
action
information on that,
Rex
yeah.
during 4, 5, and 6 because you know, like he came out of retirement and like he retired for a little bit and he came out of retirement in Rebels. So you have old man Rex, like he was doing something, especially because he was at the Battle of Endor. So what was he doing? It's kind of like you know, with after Endgame, no, not End, yeah, in Endgame, how they show that like the Ancient One was fighting the aliens. Like we know that other people were doing stuff, and like they've talked about with Daredevil and Jessica Jones, like the incident, like were they also fighting the Chitauri during the incident in New York? Like what was Rex doing? He was doing something to help. So I want to see that.
You have like there's obviously the Jedi are not extinct. They're hiding. You've got you know,
and they're still making more Jedi.
They're
We've
hiding
that in all the cartoons.
Jedi Survivor, the video game, like what is he doing? And then you've got the Jedi there in hiding. You've got, you know, Asajj Ventress was out there still running around, and there's so many different. Like, are they helping out? I'd like to just see some different aspects, whether it's the Clone Wars, whether it's during the Empire, because there's so much. There's like a 40-year reign of the Empire. Like, give us some of these smaller moments. Not everything's about a Skywalker. I personally think those would all be fantastic pieces to show.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I guess my other favorite character would be Qui-Gon. If we could get more Qui-Gon,
oh yeah,
I would die.
That'd be fun to get. Like, you know, we got a tiny bit of a prequel on him in Tales of the Jedi.
Yep.
But yeah, he clearly became very confident in his ways and whatnot.
Well, he knew the Jedi were flawed at the same time, and I think that's what was the downfall of the Jedi.
So how did he know that when so many people are so blind to it? So that's the story we need to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a good one. Qui-Gon
that's the beauty of Star Wars, man. There's so many good. That's why I love Star Wars. Is there's so many good things, like so many paths you can go down. It really is endless.
Down the dark path or the light path.
You could the dark side, or you guys have the light side. I got the dark side. I guess we're gonna have to duel after this.
And I have the light side.
I mean, yeah, let's do it.
I actually have no side. My battery.
Give me a second. My lightsaber, you know, 1 in 3. It just this one.
Logan brought me one of his plastic ones before we started.
As we do kind of begin to wrap up this, Chandler, I do appreciate you coming on. Now, we saw you guys at MegaCon. Are you planning on hitting up the Comic Cons at all? Like, are you going to make your rounds to Comic Cons? Like, what's that looking like for you guys?
Yeah, so I think we'll try and get MegaCon every year at least. And we think it'd be cool to do San Diego Comic-Con.
I was going to say, if you guys aren't looking at San Diego, it'd be awesome. Or New York City would be another massive one.
Yep. We want to do New York. It's been crazy busy for me lately. So I actually work a day job and then do craft cores in the evenings. And so sometimes it's kind of hard to plan out, especially where I live in Idaho, middle of nowhere.
Hold on.
Whoa.
Time out.
I think you had this conversation.
We probably did, but where in Idaho?
I'm in Rexburg, Idaho.
Okay. I literally moved
near
here.
Near IF.
I left Mountain Home in Boise recently in August. Okay. We probably did have this conversation, but yeah, dude, I totally forgot. Like, yeah, I've been through Rexburg. I've gone out there a whole bunch of times. I completely forgot. That's hilarious.
Yep. So, I mean, we would love to be at everything we could. It's a little hard. I also have 2 kids. and so it's hard to travel
Those kids are the
all the
worst, man. I'm
time
telling
too.
you.
So
Constantly holding us back.
Think of all of
Unless
the
you
things
bring
that I
them
could
to,
do if I
I
didn't
know.
also have 2 kids and Lauren had like 8 kids.
I have 3.
Yeah.
I know. Anything
one's
more than 2
grown.
is
I only have 2 I have to worry about.
we each all have 2 kids. Like they're the
I mean, I
worst.
still have to pay for the oldest, but
But I mean, we
Yeah,
can.
so
We can
sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just saying we can all relate. We totally get it for sure.
Oh, yep. Yeah, so I mean, I think we're gonna try to go to Star Celebration in Japan this next year.
oh
Ooh.
wow,
We got some
that's
tickets
awesome.
for it. I still have to convince my wife to let me actually go,
It's
but
like she's actually learning
um,
about it from this podcast right now. Fun fact.
yep.
Well, and if you go out there, there's no other Galaxy's Edges outside of the States, though, right?
No,
No?
there's not.
Okay. I was going to say, well, then you have to go to Disney too when you go out there because it's just research. But
True.
I mean, we can still go for fun. It's still call it
definitely
research,
should.
right?
It's
Yeah.
still it's looking at the market research. Of course it is.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. For if
Yeah.
they open one day, you can still write it off, right? That's a write off.
Yeah.
100%. That's awesome. Are you guys
That'll be
going out
amazing.
to the celebration?
I
I
wish. It's trying to convince my wife to go to Japan next year. A little difficult.
Yeah.
But that's like the goal, right? I mean, we have goals. San Diego Comic-Con for like every nerd is the big one. We're looking at New York City this year. San Diego's one that we're looking at possibly for next year. That's a big one. I'm about to, so I've never really talked about this on the podcast, but I'm about to spend October to April in a nice, wonderful desert, my version of Tatooine for 6 months because of my job, my day job. So I'm going to be gone from October to April, which makes it kind of hard to do celebration.
Okay.
But San Diego
He's in the
Comic-Con's
Air
on there.
Force,
Yeah.
actually.
Air Force. So
Okay.
I'm going to be in the Middle East from October to April this year. So that makes it kind of difficult,
Wow.
but the next celebration's on our radar after that because they have them every 2 years. San
I'd
Diego
love for it to be in
Comic-Con.
Orlando again because that's where I am. That would be perfect.
I mean, I love traveling. We're taking a Disney cruise to Spain this year, so why not go out to Asia at some point, right, for a celebration?
Oh, 100%.
It's all bucket list stuff, but I seriously I think that what you guys are doing is awesome. I'm glad that you're getting a chance
It's
to bang
really
my
cool.
camera around to get to go out to celebration together. I hope more people kind of pay mine because like seriously every time we get to see you guys we saw you at Mosh Isley and you were at MegaCon, like those were really great events, and so it'd be really cool to get to see you guys at more events and then we can all collectively get together too at more events. You should definitely look at going to the Boise Comic-Con. I know that's a couple hours away,
Oh, yeah.
but they have one that's getting bigger and bigger every single year.
Yeah, they're getting some good guests lately.
I would definitely recommend FanX Salt Lake too. That's another one that's like a really, really big Comic-Con that we've been to personally. That's massive.
I felt like it was
Yeah.
bigger
So
than
we actually do that every year as well.
Oh, you do? Perfect. Hell yeah.
FanX, yeah.
That's FanX is a great. I love Salt Lake. I do somewhat miss like that out there, the peacefulness of it all, but
Yep.
we could rave all night, man. I really appreciate it. Why don't you go ahead and let everybody know one more time, like where they can find all the great merchandise, crafted cores in general, where can they find you guys?
Yeah, so we have our website, craftedcores.com. You should be able to see all our crystals, everything there. And then we are also on Etsy if you prefer shopping on there as well. So
everything's in the show notes too. If you're like,
Etsy's
what did he say?
dangerous.
Etsy is dangerous.
It is dangerous. Especially for Star Wars nerds like us. It is. There's so much
creative, yeah.
When you think of it, you know, you think like, oh, people knit stuff and whatnot, and then like I went on there one day, and the next thing I know, I'm buying like anti-possession supernatural earrings and a Bo-Katan thing. I'm like, what am I doing? I gotta get out of here.
Help me!
It's all the things I never knew I needed.
It's fun. So, and then as far as social media, we're on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube as well. We don't do much there, but at Crafted Cores is our handle.
Awesome, man. It's been a pleasure. It's always wonderful getting to run into you guys at any event we get to go to. I'm glad we finally got to sit down and chat. Like you said, we've known each other for a couple of years now, so it's awesome to sit down and get to chat. We really appreciate you coming on, guys. Crafted Cores, man. If you got a lightsaber,
on the website now, these crystals are gorgeous. Like the
crystals are awesome. Chandler and his whole entire crew, they put so much love and attention into it, and we're just nerding out, man. Support. Disney has enough money, man. Trust me. Go support.
Carbonite crystals, amazing. The little
like you saw the little pour, the
one.
little carbonite crystals. There's t-shirts. There's a lot of really cool stuff. I hope you guys check them out. Lauren, do you have any final thoughts as we wrap up here?
No, I think I said it all. Yeah, again, I'll reiterate what Matt said. I'm glad you guys came on here. I really love what you guys are doing. I think it's amazing. And I'm a huge fan of Galaxy's Edge. And yeah, this is really cool. So go check them out.
Check them out.
Yeah,
Everybody
thank
else,
you, Matt, Lauren, for having me. So,
dude, anytime you want to nerd out, it's always fun just hanging out, talking nerd stuff. That's what we'd love to do here. You guys can check us out. You guys know where to go. Hops Geek News, podcast, all that kind of stuff, social media. Check us out there. But more importantly, head to Crafted Cores. If you don't know what to do with your lightsaber, you're at Savvy's. You're like, man, I have the hilt. I don't know if I picked the right color. You're having buyer's remorse. Dude, craftedcores.com. I promise you, they got you.
Then you have more time to
got
see
you.
which
Yeah.
one calls you.
Exactly. It's all about the crystal
Yeah.
calling to you. So while you're sitting there with the handle in your hand, the battery is dead. You can sit there and take your time and figure out which one calls to you. Do that now. Do it later. Do it whenever, but just do it. And everybody else, we will be back next week with some more Star Wars week or month. It's our final week of Star Wars month, is it? Or no, we have 2 more weeks.
We have 2 more weeks, yeah.
And
And then we'll
Lauren-
be kicking off with The Lion King and the Boys.
We will
in
be kicking
June.
off into June. Lauren will be up here in Virginia, funny enough, in a couple weeks. So look out there on our socials as we're going to be hanging out. It's always, man, twice in 1 year, 3 times in 1 year this year. It's going to be awesome. It's always a great
Pushing our
time.
kids out of
I
pictures.
know. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll see you guys soon. Cheers.